What's up, family? It's your man Mark Black. These last few days have been a whirl of controversy, some surprises, some not so surprising discoveries, and a whole lot of what the fuck. I'll admit that I've been rather heated the last few days. However, because I know that my anger means I need to pick a direction to move in, I did what I normally do. I started examining the evidence. I don't mean examining the evidence like Mr. Dorsey Montgomery II claims they did in the jury chamber. I mean examining the entire scenario from the moment our brother was murdered, and yes, I will continue to say murder no matter what the so-called justice system says, to the aftermath of the mistrial. First things first, because there is so much to all of this, I'm going to leave receipts in the description bar for all of the references I make in this video. Let's continue. I initially considered going in on Dorsey Montgomery in the worst way. I considered doing a rant filled with coon, sellout, and other expletives. I was going to discuss his slavering defense of the pale bastards who were his fellow jurors and mention that during the trial, the prosecution suspiciously dismissed a felony case of embezzlement against him. However, I will not get caught up in the trick bag. I will not make the mistake that many of you did and assume that this is a case of a single rogue juror. I also won't, although it would bring me immense pleasure, eat Dorsey's coonish ass alive. I will do the hard thing and provide you a clear analysis of just how this case was manipulated to bring us to this juncture, and provide a clear solution on how to avoid this in the future. I don't discuss it much, but I'm a trained paralegal and understand clearly the criminal litigation process, from the moment charges are laid until sentencing. So I will use my ability to demonstrate to the family that what happened on Monday could only happen one way, and I will make sure to point the finger squarely where it belongs. So we need to look at context. 2014 was a horrible year for our people. We saw murder after murder. Mike Brown, Akai Gurley, Tamir Rice, Eric Garner, the list goes on and on. Each time we acted up and out. The prosecutors would placate us with the threat of a grand jury, only to return no true bill after no true bill. In the case of our little brother Tamir, the prosecutor actually tried the defense's case for them for the grand jury. These same prosecutors, who have no issue when it comes to prosecuting the hell out of us, just couldn't seem to find a way to get a grand jury who, according to the old adage, could indict a ham sandwich to indict these murderous pigs. Names like Pantaleo and Wilson became household names for both us as well as the pale people, and we hit the streets and acted out. So in 2015, it started to look like black people wasn't having it with the blatant refusals to indict a cop for killing one of us. This brings us up to April 2015. On April 4th, 2015, Walter Scott was stopped by Michael Slager for a traffic infraction. During the stop, he ran from his vehicle and the pig chased him. We now know from the testimony of Faden Santana that Slager actually tased our brother, who then tried to run away from the painful shock of the taser. Now, you all have seen the infamous video, and I will not disrespect the memory of our brother nor further traumatize us by playing it here. I saw what you all saw. Our brother ran and was shot at 8 times, being struck 5 times. After falling to the ground, the pale devil pig picked up the taser that we now know he used on our brother and dropped it next to our brother's dying body. Meanwhile, another black pig named Habersham shows up and appears to examine our brother. He claims to have rendered aid to the victim by applying pressure to the gunshot wounds, according to the incident report. I will provide a link to the incident report below. Of course, unless you saw a completely different video than we all saw, we all know that this is a patent lie. For any person who's not completely dead from the neck up, this was as clear a case for murder as you can get. However, we need to step back for a second, because when the murder first occurred, the Charleston pigs were selling the story that this was a good shoot. Press conferences and the whole bit went to work selling us the story that Slager was justified in shooting our brother. It wasn't until the day of the 5th of April when Faden, using a BLM contact, was able to get the video to Anthony Scott, Walter's brother, who viewed the video and seeing the murder got it out to the world. Meanwhile, Slager had engaged legal counsel with David Ayler. This lawyer actually came out and told us that, quote, "I believe that once the community hears all the facts of this shooting, they'll have a better understanding of the circumstances surrounding this investigation," unquote. Man, he wasn't lying. We understood clearly that the pigs were attempting another cover-up and Slager was a murdering pig. And so did Mr. Ayler. On the day the video came out, Ayler, like a rat on a sinking ship, ran away from representing Slager. On Tuesday, April 7th, Michael Slager was arrested and charged with murder. He was denied bail and black people rejoiced. No prosecutorial fuckery or grand jury games, just an arrest and a charge. For the sake of time, I will finish up the timeline here. Slager was formally indicted on June 7, 2015, released on $500,000 bond on January 5th of this year, and we all got a Halloween surprise with his trial starting on October 31st. Some of us got a bigger surprise on Monday, December 5th, when after 4 days of deliberations and a majority of the jurors either undecided or adamant against a conviction, Judge Clifton Newman declared a mistrial. Let's get back on the trail to follow the fuckery, because when I'm finished, I believe that I will have established clearly where this case was sabotaged. So the Berkeley County prosecutors knew that with the risk of watching Charleston, and pretty much anywhere we are, burn, there was no way they could play grand jury games on this one. The heat was way too hot to just pretend to run it through an easily manipulated grand jury process. No, to pull off this one, they would have to dig deeper. So we saw an arrest, a grand jury with eyes who actually returned a true bill, and at least until January, Slager's ass in jail. So far, the niggers are reasonably satisfied and calm, with the most important thing is us being calm. I'll bet that many of you are thinking, there's no way with the evidence we have on this one, he is going to get away. I don't blame you, but the only reason why you would think this is because you don't understand how the system works. They've set it up so that they have so many ways to screw black people, whether we're the victim or the perpetrators. Allow me to introduce you to where the fix was put in. Let's discuss voir dire. Voir dire is a French term that means to say the truth, and it is a process where a jury is selected and impaneled. I hope you didn't think they just picked 12 people from the jury pool and sit them in the jury box. That's not how this works. In South Carolina, they pull 50 to 60 from the jury pool, give them numbers, and gets them in a room. The judge gives them some basic info about the case. Then the judge starts asking them questions designed to determine if they can serve as jurors and be fair and impartial. The attorneys and the judge during voir dire can strike a potential juror if they have legitimate cause to do so, like they demonstrate a bias for one side or the other, emergencies, and other stuff. These strikes are unlimited for everyone involved. Good so far, right? Well, here comes the fun part. Pay attention closely. After the prospective jurors have been pared down for cause, each attorney gets what are called peremptory challenges. In the case of the prosecution, they get 5 peremptory challenges and the defense gets 10. These challenges do not require either side to give a reason for striking a potential juror, and this right here, this is where the prosecution rigged the trial. Under normal circumstances, because the prosecution is trying to win, they will strike jurors that they believe may be sympathetic to the defense. In this case, you'd be looking for pale people primarily, and those who answered questions during the process that might indicate that they'd be more likely to support a killer cop than convict one. Let's assume I'm correct in that the prosecution did not want to convict Slager. This means that the normal way they do this won't work. So how do we ensure that at best we can get an acquittal, putting the full heat of black anger on the jury itself, or at worst, We get a mistrial, which allows us to kick the can down the road enough to quiet stuff down, possibly get a plea deal, or even better, refuse to retry the case, and as a bonus, direct black anger at the jury instead of the entire process itself. The prosecution removes obvious jurors that would be likely to convict Slager with their 5 challenges. So goodbye all the rest of the black folks who aren't obviously cooning and the few Latinos who may be there. Now the defense isn't going to look a gift horse in the mouth, and so will eliminate all the rest of the potentials that the prosecution didn't catch. And there you have it, a jury fit for a mistrial. The best part about this way is that it is all above board, legal, and unless you understand how the voir dire process works, completely opaque. Not one person in 100,000 will see anything out of place. And that right there, family, is how they stole justice from you. The whole system is one piping hot trick bag served up for your displeasure. However, I promised you at the beginning that I would provide you a solution, not just the problem. So I'll summarize the problem finally, then share the fix for all of you. The problem isn't the jury, the defense, the prosecutor, or the judge. The problem is the entire so-called justice system itself, period. At every turn, there is a myriad of ways that they can screw us out of anything even resembling justice, whether in failing to indict, manipulating grand juries, overcharging to create cases they can't prove, jury manipulation through the voir dire process, and even by jury nullification by one or more jurors who can be presented with irrefutable evidence and still choose not to convict. The entire thing is rigged against us. The solution to this issue is simple. If we cannot be given justice, we take it. We refuse to play their game anymore, just as they do take a big shit all over their legal system. If you are ever picked for a jury and it's one of us on trial, hang the jury, guilty or not. When these murderous bastards get off or are not indicted, research where they are and provide home delivery of justice for them. Don't sue them in court. If you can't take what they owe you, destroy it. Prosecutors have to eat too, and judges have to shop, so make sure that justice follows them and meets them where they are for a change. These people cannot hide from us, and more importantly, we should not let them. If you think that I'm advocating for violence and you're absolutely petrified at the idea, well, that's on you. I encourage you to continue protesting uselessly, burn up shit, get mad, and get played at every opportunity by the so-called justice system. However, if you are sick and tired of being sick and tired and you want justice, the pale people and their black acolytes have made it patently clear how you're going to get it. We can take justice from them. We should take justice from them. A free people do not ask for anything because if someone can give you something, they could take it back. You wanted a solution, family? Well, there it is, courtesy of your brother Mark Black. Until next time, love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to my people.